Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Mainline Executive Coaching ACT. This is what we do. We come together. We help you as those leaders out there leading organizations, emerging leaders that want to be leaders that want to be better, that somehow along the way got stuck and you got lost and you weren't sure what was going on and you just got stuck in this port and you don't know how to keep moving yourself up the ladder. We're here for every one of you leaders who want to become better. Mainline Executive Coaching ACT, and ACT also stands for and cultural transformation. That is what we will be talking about today. Cultural transformation, not an easy thing to do. We've told you before, it's like 75% of the time some sort of organization, company, business attempts to do this cultural transformation and they fail. 75%, that's a huge, and of course then after that they feel very, very gun shy, right? So we are here today to discuss this and how we can help you in that very endeavor. If that's something that you see that you truly not only need, but you really want, and you've got to get after it. I'm Maikel Bailey. I'm here today with Rich Barron, my partner. We are our great friend here, Al Fragnoli. Great guy, great person to have with us. A lot of opportunities, lots of great things that he has done as well. So let's start with this notion. 75% of the time it fails. I'm going to tell you one of the reasons I think it fails is not only they just don't really know how to do it, but they set up this cultural transformation to fail. It's set up from the very start to fail. And they may not even realize that they're setting up the people in charge here, that they're setting up to fail. Could there be something to that the reason it fails is because they set it up to fail?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of time they don't even know they're setting it up to fail. It's because they don't understand what culture truly is. How often do we hear the word? Matter of fact, I don't think there's a company out there that you can't walk into and ask them about their culture, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got a great culture. You know, check out our break room. It's got leather couches and a coffee bar, and you know, we've actually heard that before. You know, we have a fire pit, you know, where everybody can sit around during breaks and or after, you know, and just chill after work, or you know, that's what people think culture is, unfortunately. But you know, how often can you really put your finger on what culture is, and how is it impacting your organization? Just like you said, 75% of all companies out there, which is an actual statistic, flat out fail to change leadership. They can't do it. They don't know how to do it. They're not, and one of the things that they're not doing is measuring the culture in their organization and taking the results seriously.
Can we reduce it to something really simple? I'd like to have you respond to this, Al, and that is culture at its best is a win-win-win. You'll really take a look at that. I think you're a guy that will understand that really well. This idea of management, leadership and management, the staff, the employees, and also the customers. So we can probably even include vendors as well. It's this culture of winning. This is the idea we're all in it together, working together to make it better for everyone, not just for a few of us. What do you think of this idea of win-win-win or win-win-win-win-win?
Yeah. First of all, gentlemen, Maikel, Rich, I love what you guys do. Keep up the fantastic work. Thank you so much for having me on again. Always love talking to you guys. So it is an interesting concept, you know, Maikel, and you know, you mentioned the win-win-win, right? And why do so many companies fail when they're attempting to get this culture right? And it's critically important that leaders at the very top of these companies and organizations really take into thought and consideration the beliefs, the values of all their people, entry-level managers, their sales force, their marketing team, whoever it might be. They really got to focus on the entire company as a whole and not just focus on the bottom line and the numbers if they want to see true success when it comes to culture. I read an interesting article not too long ago that was talking about going in for a job interview, and when people are going into one of the final round interviews and they're at the office and they might potentially have the chance to meet some of the leadership team and go throughout the facility there. They said it's really, really critical in 2022 here to spend time as you look into managers' offices and really look and see what the inside of each individual manager's office looks like as you're talking to them. And they said to look for key things such as photos. Do they have photos of family, friends on their desk? If they don't, that's typically an indicator that culture isn't at a premium and not at a high level within an organization. I thought that was really, really interesting.
I like that a lot. What about this idea? If somebody's watching our podcast here today, what could they start looking for in terms of, I wonder if that's our problem? Just they got to be really honest about this, leaders. You got to be honest. There's no point lying about it, denying it, dancing around it. There's no point. If you really want to lead, you got to be honest about it, honest your heart, honest in your communications, honest with the people. So one of the things that you do is this. I think you'd start noticing that people are operating or being motivated out of a culture of fear. Let's take a look at this idea of the culture of fear, or just people, I have to do this. I've got to do this. It's not like I'm really excited to do it, but I got to do it. Al, what do you think about this culture of fear notion?
So that's another interesting concept right there. And I'm glad you brought that up, Maikel, because I think there's a lot of companies that honestly struggle with this. There's a lot of people that I've talked to in a variety of different organizations that struggle with that culture of fear, right? So if you're going to do this because I told you to do that, right? It needs to get done right now. And if it doesn't get done, you might not have a job here tomorrow. That's leading based off of fear. It's the wrong way to lead. It doesn't work in today's day and age. And, the potential consequences to stuff like that is, sure, you might get immediate results that day, that week, but long term, they're not going to be there, right? Rich, Maikel, you're not going to see that, because people are going to spend some of their free time looking for other jobs, because nobody wants to be surrounded by leadership that is leading based off of fear. And that is 100% the wrong way to do things. But we unfortunately see a lot of companies that do that still.
So this fear is kind of a lackluster of leadership, really, when you take a look at leaders who really and truly, let's just get real clear about it, real serious about it here. Leaders who have to motivate out of fear really aren't leaders. They're taskmasters, right? You could say that, right? They don't know how to create inspiration. They don't know how to motivate their people. They don't know how to connect with their people. And that kind of leads to the next thing here is they're really not particularly good at communication. It's kind of lackluster clarity in their communication. How about that, Rich? Talk about lackluster communication clarity.
Communication is key. Communication, to be effective, has to flow through all directions of the organization. It's got to flow up. It's got to flow down. It's got to flow horizontal. And if you do not have the ability to effectively communicate the vision, the mission, the purpose of your organization, and what you intend to accomplish, you're not going to get that done. That's one of the things that we talk about. There's the 5 cultures of culture we talk about. There's a capability culture, the commitment culture, the alignment culture, the individual performance culture, the team performance culture. And it's that alignment culture, part of that 5, that deals specifically with that communication piece. How good are you at really dishing out that communication effectively so everybody understands, everybody's on the same page? If they're not doing that, and if you're not measuring that, then that was a big issue. That's a problem.
Yeah, and that goes back to training, motivation, and connection, all those kinds of things that that just aren't happening there. So let's take a look at this. If in the beginning you're kind of being beaten down here with you got to do it, and then the communication is not very clear about what exactly do they want and when do they want it and where are we going? What's this order all about, or what's the strategic plan for the year, and how are we all doing this? In that confusion, what we create is distrust. We create suspicion. Well, what are they up to now? What's going on? And what do they really mean? And it feels like we're being manipulated. So this lack of trust is also, you take a look at it. If you took at your organization and you're not feeling this connection with the people that you're leading, that the staff, the employees there, if you can't discern that they really like to be, that they really trust you, and it's not just just flapping their gums, but it's a real trust. We're really in it with you, and you're not seeing it throughout the company. You've got something going on there that is more about distrust than really trust. What about that, Al? What about that? Is that important to have trust? I mean, not just there, but proactively going after it every single day to keep that trust going.
Yeah, Maikel, I'm glad you brought this point up too, because when a company struggles with trust amongst their people, what do people naturally fall into? All of a sudden, they don't care about the company anymore. It's about me, me, me. How am I going to protect myself? How am I going to take care of myself? So they no longer care about the entire overall goal and mission of the company, because they have no trust in their direct boss and the rest of their leadership and management team. And no trust, again, ultimately, you're gonna lose people. You're not gonna be able to reach your full potential as a company on where you want to go. But Maikel, you brought up the point of sharing the vision, the goals, the strategic goals with your people. When you do that, to your point, you create that open line of communication, that trust that is there, and everybody knows exactly what the goal of the company and mission is for the quarter, for the year, whatever it is. But when you don't have that and there's no trust, you no longer care about the company. It's all about me, me, me. How do I protect myself? And that's a big problem.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on that? It's good stuff, Al.
What are my thoughts on that? Trust is absolutely essential. And I want to tell you one way that it's right now that I've seen trust eroded in organizations. And that's the first part that we talk about, that capability culture. Right now, we're seeing a lot of people leaving organizations, moving on to different companies. And at the same time, we see some of these same companies that are so focused on recruiting, trying to find that next big thing, that culture fit, if you will, instead of a culture add individual. So they're out there spending all this time looking at all these resumes, doing these interviews, looking for someone to fill a position in that company. You might already have half a dozen qualified people in your organization you're passing up. When you do that, leaders, and I hope you're listening, because we've seen this firsthand, you lose that trust in your people in your company that you're supposed to be developing their capability, developing their skills, developing their leadership to carry on your legacy. When you're going outside the company and just picking a resume out of however many got sent to you, and focusing your future on whoever that is, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying you need to look inside your organization first. And if you're not, that means you're not spending the time getting to know your people. You have not spent the time developing the skills, the talents, and the knowledge that you already have. The biggest waste in any company is people's skills, time, energy, talents, name it. It's people. The biggest waste in any company is people. And if you're not focusing on that capability, it's just like a good coach. Now, Al, you've been an MLB scout, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know firsthand, the coaches aren't looking for your past performance. They're looking at your potential. What is your potential? And how can I take that potential and roll that into future performance? How do you know that, honestly, when you don't get out in the ground level and know who your people are and develop them, get programs to develop them? And I'll tell you what, that's one of the biggest issues in trust in organizations today, is you're failing to recognize who you already have.
There's two things that are there that are really interesting. What you were saying, Rich, about they're not looking inside the company to see who's there. The message that they send, and think about it this way, the message that they send is this: even though I've got people that have got those capabilities, I don't trust them to move them into this new position or move up the ladder. What greater way do you know to break trust with someone than to say I don't trust you, either implicitly or right out? What is that? That's a great way to just say, I don't trust you. Well, then I don't trust you either. The other thing, this whole thing about capacity. We often think of it in terms of the staff, the employees, but man, I'm telling you, it goes up and down the ladder. Do the leaders have the capacity? Do they have the skills? Do they know what it is that they're doing? Just like you're talking about developing your talent, developing your people, helping them to bring greater skills, capacity to their jobs. Leaders, are you developing your capacity in the same kind of way? When your people look at you, do they believe in you because they believe that you have the capacity and that you will use that capacity and that you will employ that capacity to help you as an individual and then throughout the company? Do they believe that or do they not? Yeah, that's an interesting place to go to. So we have this kind of culture we talked about this idea of the leaders may not be doing as good as we're talking about here. Again, the capacity here. The other thing is about the fear. Talking about the fear. We're talking also about the trust, and we're talking about the communication. When you put those three things together, something really interesting happens in somebody's mind, and that is this: what's my real potential in this company for my career development?
Mm-hmm.
Fear, lack of trust, leadership's not really with it, communications really aren't great. Commitment. Why I have any kind of belief that I've got a career path here? And if I did, they indicated that, why would I want to stay? What do you think, Rich? Then we'll have you respond, Al.
Oh, absolutely. And you wonder why all these people are leaving companies looking for a better opportunity. And they say this time and time again, and it really rings true. People don't leave a bad job. They leave a bad boss. They leave bad leadership, looking for better leadership. And so there's a lot to be said about that. Is that commitment to your people, that celebrating individual performance, celebrating team performance. If you're not measuring these things in your company and just assuming that everything's okay because I've got a tea time tomorrow, or
true story.
Yeah, it is a true story. That's an absolutely true story. Or because I don't want to know because it might make me feel bad, or you just aren't taking the time. Here's the thing: is CEOs pay attention. You can't fake the culture in your company if you're not living the values that you say that we stand for. You can't fake that. The culture in the company cannot be faked. It can't. Try as you might, it just can't.
Good point, Al.
Yeah, that was great stuff right there, Rich. And to piggyback off that, I agree with you though, is people are going to leave, and they're already doing it right now. They're leaving companies in droves. So, if you're leading based off of fear, first of all, if a leader is leading based off of fear, what does that typically tell me? That tells me that the leader is very reactionary. The leader doesn't truly care about their people, and they don't want to put in the work to get to know their people on a personal level so that they can figure out how to lead and inspire them. Because that's what a leader's role is. That we've talked about that, right? And so you got to put in more of an effort. It's not about you anymore. It's about your entire team, and that's what leaders have to do. And if they don't do those things, they are going to lose their people, because people will see right through that. They're going to see exactly what you're doing. They're going to say, "Oh my gosh, my boss, all he does is care about himself." Right? And they're going to say, I have no room to grow and develop here. I want to be a fantastic leader someday, but I'm not going to learn it where I'm at right now. So I got to move on. So now that company has lost a fantastic leader, and trying to replace that person, that employee that wanted to be a fantastic leader, good luck. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of resources, a lot of money.
Excellent. One of the things that sometimes let's be honest here, if you're watching us, and you're a leader, there is often a time of chastisement, of getting after the leader for not measuring up. And the reason we do that, And you've heard this from us as well. We love talent. We really do. We love people, their talents, their abilities, what it is they bring. We're that kind of people that we want to see those individuals who are engaged in developing their talent, their character to become their best. We love that. We embrace that. And we want to bring that out even more in them. So the little bit of, chastening here that we're giving it here is this. It's because we love you, because we care that you become the best leader that you can possibly be. And the other side of that whole thing is this: leadership is truly a privilege. It's an honor. It's something that, if you take a look at, it's this responsibility that has been given to you, however it may have come to you, to do something great. Leadership calls upon you to rise to new levels of greatness, new levels of possibilities, new levels of achievement. And in turn, that calls upon you to get in there with your people and encourage them to do what you can to motivate them, to excite them, to see the best in themselves so that they feel good about themselves. They feel good about the work that they're doing, and they want to bring more of it. It's not just to get that, sometimes we talk about the parking lot, position or the name on the door kind of stuff. It is a privilege and an honor, because what you do and what you have the potential of doing is changing people's lives, not only in their careers, but in their families and people they associate for the rest of your life. That is a great, great honor. It's a great, great privilege. And it is a great responsibility. We are calling upon you leaders to take that mantle up, take it up boldly, courageously, with real courage, with real strength, with a real sense of purpose and mission. Take it up and let's go. Lead forward with it. All right. Thanks for coming on, Al.
Thank you for
this great man here.
Absolutely. Thank you again, gentlemen, for reaching out to me, having me on. Always a pleasure. I love talking with you guys. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can contact me. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Email afragnoli@intelligentleadershipec.com, or my website, which you gentlemen have posted here, alfragnoli.intelligentleadershipec.com. But again, it's always an honor, and I love chatting with you guys. I think you're doing fantastic stuff, so can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And Al, you have an awesome podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legal Leaders, share it through LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, talk to a variety of different leaders, sports industry, education, just every sort of leader possible we're trying to get on, and on that podcast as well. So appreciate you guys giving me a shout out in regards there as well.
Outstanding. Watkins, great. Rich.
Executive Leaders Act, ILEC.com. That's where you need to go. That's go visit Al, come visit us. Let's talk. Let's help you fix your situation. If you don't think it needs to be fixed, talk to us anyway, and let us help you determine that and get you on a path to greatness, because we may not be the greatest, us three, but I'll tell you what, we sure would like to help you be the greatest. So we like to see you on that path and get you to that next level. So again, Executive Leaders Act, ILEC.com. Come talk to us about culture assessments and readiness assessments for your leadership group. We can help you there. 52 pages of a complete report. It's going to outline everything in your organization, top to bottom. If you're ready for that, come see us.
Absolutely. All right, that's it. Thanks for joining us again today, folks. Make it a great week. Make it we're about out of March. We're marching out of March, and we're hitting April. Here we go. So all the best to you folks.
All right. Have a good night. Take care, and we'll see you next time.